What's up, sports fans? This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Coming to you live from the studio of WTV 10 with another Friday Roundtable. Me and Tyler, we hope you've had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We're back, and we're ready to talk about a whole lot of football.
Absolutely. Now, on Thanksgiving, the Lions unfortunately lost to the Green Bay Packers. They are third in the NFC North after a really surprising Chicago Bears run with their victory against the Eagles. We'll touch on that in a little bit. However, last night, the Lions would prove that they are not a team that's going to lose losses and back-to-back losses by easily taking care of by pulling away from the Dallas Cowboys towards the end. On the back of 3 touchdowns from Jahmyr Gibbs. And this interception that from late in the game last night that led to an Isaac Tesla touchdown. Roll clip.
Well, you're so right with those explosive plays. 4 of them for 25 yards or more. Meanwhile, it's deflected, intercepted by the Lions. And that is Barnes. Derek Barnes, the linebacker, comes up with the gift.
Especially last week. But I think Robertson, it comes close to getting that hand in there, and then that's what brought the ball out where Barnes can make this play and take it all the way back.
Okay, if they lost this game against Dallas, it was time to hit the red panic button. They've lost a couple of crucial games, and that game against the Vikings that they lost was looming very, very large. Fortunately, thanks to the efforts of guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, as Tyler mentioned, and, of course, Tesla catching a touchdown, and of course, the defense holding strong when they needed to. The Lions, they're not done yet. They're still in this playoff race. Still got a chance. While the Dallas Cowboys, well, they're down to, from what I understand, a 9% chance to make the playoffs. You know what? Oh, who am I kidding? Stick a fork in Dallas. They're done.
Yeah, I'm not sorry for how bad things have been going for them at all. They may have had some good wins against the Eagles and Chiefs, but against a Lion team that was wanting to prove they still had some bite left in the hunt for the NFC North, they weren't going to be stopped. They were able to keep up, but not beat the Lions. The Lions were just too good. And now you got 10 days until you face the Rams in Los Angeles.
That'll be a very critical game because a lot of people are talking about this Rams team as potentially the best team in the NFL. Now, we'll see about that come playoff time, of course. But you know what? If the Lions are going to find a way into the playoffs, right now the Lions would be the 7th seed, or actually not the 7th, but the 8th seed, just on the outside looking in. But they still got a shot at that 7th seed. But if they're going to find a way back to the playoffs, you just got ride Jahmyr Gibbs, all right? He is giving Detroit, even in times like these, Jahmyr Gibbs is flashing his inner Barry Sanders, if that's what you want to call it, because how do you stop this guy? Like, how? Arguably, he's the best running back in the NFL. How do you stop a guy that could just, you could scheme defenses around trying to stop him, and yet Jahmyr Gibbs, with his great vision, great speed, and the skill set that he has, right now, it is still a mystery. We're still trying to, all of us, even I, am still trying to figure out, how do you stop Jahmyr Gibbs?
Good luck trying to. I mean, he's not even 24 yet. He already just tied Barry Sanders' record for most touchdowns scored before that you hit 24. He doesn't turn that until March. In 10 days, he has a good chance to break it.
Absolutely. The guy been absolutely a beast. Detroit's had some struggles, but you know what? Jahmyr Gibbs, he's not slowing down. And no question about it. If he hasn't already gotten an extension from Detroit, he's going to be due for one this offseason. It would not shock me if Detroit gives him a big contract. I know what we talk about when it comes to running backs, kind of their best years being their earliest years, but Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is one of those guys that could be the exception to this. I think he probably, of all the running backs that we're seeing right now in the NFL, he'll probably have the longest career because, man, he just does not look like he is slowing down. And like I said, you know what? Lions just got to keep riding him. And if they're going to have a chance to get the play, I mean, the Lions, here's the thing. They're probably going to have to win all their remaining games to get that 7th seed, depending on how San Francisco does, of course. And that last one is not going to be an easy one because you got to go to Chicago to play the Bears. And the Bears right now, there is a lot of positive vibes right now about this Bears team. But, hey, nothing's impossible for the Lions right now. Just got to stay focused. You've had your struggles on defense. And, I mean, coordinators, of course, when you have new coordinators on in a new year, things are going to feel different. And kind of that's how it is for Detroit. Wouldn't you say, Tyler?
Yeah, and, of course, I'm worried I might have lost Brian Branch for a little bit. It's a miracle if we were able to get St. Brown to play, though. But we'll see what happens about Branch. I think it was Branch who got injured. But, yeah, it's not pretty.
I'm hearing that it may have been a season-ending injury, too, or at least IR. At least that's all I got detail-wise for the Packers.
Lions, at least.
Yep. And since we're on the subject of talking about NFC North football, all right. The Chicago Bears right now, like I've said, they are unreal. Like, are you kidding me? If you would have told me that the team that started 0-2 to begin the year would be currently right now the number 1 seed in the NFC North, I probably would have just chuckled and said, we'll see. This does not look like a playoff team, but here we are. The Bears, Caleb Williams is playing well. Defense had a really great game against the Eagles. Offense put up points when they needed to. And, and like I said, this is a Bears team also that's been battling injuries on both fronts. And yet they're finding ways to win games. But their win against the Eagles last Friday, or Black Friday, I should say, that was a memorable one and all. And that was their best victory on the season thus far, especially the way they controlled the game and controlled the terms of the game. But that's also not the only reason why that one was their best one. You know what? Spoiler alert, here comes this week's golden moment in sports. Everybody, let's cue Ben Johnson. And there goes the shirt in the locker room celebration.
Yep, you can't go wrong with that one.
Now, you guys are probably wondering, wax me out, how is this a golden moment? This is just the coach of the Chicago Bears and the former Lions coordinator taking off his shirt and doing his good, better, best speech. But my friend Tyler Lavalette is going to explain to you the backstory behind it, why Ben Johnson ripped his shirt off. Go for it, Tyler.
Thank you, Jake. There's a restaurant in Chicago, famous for their Chicago hot dog, called the Wiener Circle.
Bear with us.
Yes, that's the name. Like you said, bear with us. They approached Ben Johnson and said, if you take your shirt off in the locker room following a Bears win, we will have a day where we give hot dogs away for free to the city of Chicago. He did just that Friday. Giving Tuesday was very appropriate to do the free hot dogs.
So far, sports fans, I'm still trying to dig into just how many free hot dogs were given away by the Wiener Circle this past Tuesday. But, I mean, at first, when I took it off, I thought, okay, he's supercharged. He's pumped up. His team's winning. And this is a side of Ben Johnson that we didn't see in Detroit. But, nope. It turns out there was more behind it. And there was a part of this video that I didn't include. Like, just before he took off his shirt, he said, I know you guys are more hungry, and you know what? The city of Chicago is hungry. He was alluding to the hot dogs. It was a nice little hidden cue that he was alluding to. They're ready. They're hungry. The people of Chicago are hungry for free hot dogs. And how about this? He takes his shirt off. You could say embarrasses himself in the locker room, flexing his muscle. And by the way, Ben Johnson's in pretty good shape for a football head coach, not going to lie. But but by doing that, he did a charitable act, and both sides held up their promises. Ben Johnson took off his shirt, and thanks to the Wiener Circle, who would have guessed that Ben Johnson taking off his shirt to celebrate a Bears win would feed families in Chicago?
I wonder how many folks of those hot dogs went to those out of state or in the Chicago area on a trip.
That's a good question. But with this charitable act, this was our golden moment in sports for this week. And I tell you what, I'm hoping for more golden moments involving the Bears. But they got a big weekend up ahead of them. They got to play those blasted Packers in Green Bay. Hopefully, they still got a lot of magic left because there's still 2 matchups. The Bears have to win, probably not once, but twice against Green Bay if they want to secure the NFC North and their spot in the playoffs. Or at least, one time you win at least one game against Green Bay if you want to get in the playoffs. You want to win the NFC North, you gotta have those 2 wins against Green Bay, and you're probably gonna have to beat Detroit in the regular season finale to pretty much secure that number 1 seed and that home field advantage on the NFC side of things.
That's super important for if you're a Bears fan. And, of course, if you're a Lions fan, you don't want to deny that. But, of course, there's a conundrum if you're a Lions fan. When it comes to the oldest rivalry, who do you root for? Do you root for the old coach, or do you root for the team that has been a constant thorn in your side across Lake Michigan?
I'm going to be... All right, Tyler, I'm going to say this. That's really actually not a dilemma. If I was a Lions fan, I'd be rooting... Okay, I know it's painful, but I'd be rooting for the Bears because a Bears win over the Green Bay Packers gives the Lions an even better chance at making the playoffs, considering at the moment Green Bay would be a wild card team if the playoffs were to start. So you're hoping the Bears sweep the Packers, so you Lions fans can have a chance to have postseason football and more crazy vibes. Speaking of the playoff picture, so I'll give you guys a quick rundown through that. The AFC playoff picture, the Patriots hold the number 1 seed, and then it's the Broncos holding the West, Jaguars holding, that's right, the confusing Jacksonville Jaguars hold the AFC South right now, and then the Ravens are just holding on to that AFC North. Wild cards right now, Chargers, Colts, and Bills. My man, Tyler, does anything stand out to you in that playoff picture?
Jacksonville?
Yeah. I can't make sense of Jacksonville. They look like a good team sometimes, and then they just have games where they just play ridiculously bad. Like, the talent's there for Jacksonville, but really, their record, does it really indicate what they are? I kind of also feel the same way about the Broncos. I know they only got 2 losses on the season, but are they really that good? They're just, both of those 2 teams frustrate me. The Broncos have a great defense, but an inconsistent offense, where the Jaguars just all around are just mildly inconsistent. Another thing that worries me about this side of the playoff picture is the Colts. Could they be on a losing skid? I'm worried about them. If they don't, their quarterback right now, Danny Dimes, he's hurt right now, or Daniel Jones, as he's really known by. But
yep.
And then there's the Chiefs. They got an easy schedule down the stretch, but are they too far back to make the playoffs? Is this the year where the Chiefs finally miss the postseason? We'll find out.
Absolutely. And, of course, the Patriots, who had them coming back so quickly under Drake May? Everyone thought this was going to be a painful rebuild for them. Nope. They're back.
Yep.
Disagreeing if you're a Bills fan.
Absolutely. And to give you, and of course, sorry. Then there's the NFC side of things, the NFC playoff picture, of course. As I mentioned, the Bears currently sit on top right now with the number 1 seed. That's still to be determined. You got the Rams hot on their tail at number 2, who hold the NFC West. And I mentioned the Bears hold the NFC North for the moment. The Eagles are holding the number 3 seed and the NFC East, with the 4th place team being the Buccaneers, with a hold or slim hold of the NFC South, confusing division. And then you got the wild cards of the Seahawks, Packers, and 49ers. And as I mentioned, the Lions, they still got a chance to make it, but they're going to need some help. They're hoping for some losses by the 49ers and Packers.
Yep, NFC looking to be a little more cut and dry, although NFC South, that division still gives me question marks. Is it Tampa's to win? How about can Atlanta just get out of the choking ways? And what to make of the Panthers? Wow. What can I say about them? It's like Jacksonville. They can be good one time. Bryce Young and company can be good one time and then bad again, expecting against the Falcons, and then bad another time. I can't get the best read on these guys.
Let me just tell you, sports fans, these cats are crazy. No pun intended. These cats are literally just insane. The Jaguars and the Panthers. I like to think they are just playing way over their heads or way up. They're punching well above their weight. They got a chance to make the playoffs. They got a chance to steal that NFC South from the Buccaneers. They're still in it because the South makes no gosh darn sense to me. And you know what? We were talking about the Buccaneers, and they looked good early, and I was heaping the praises of Baker Mayfield. But injuries have finally caught up with the Buccaneers, and they are sputtering heading into the most critical time of the year for all the teams. Mm-hmm. And like I said, once again, the Bears, they got to win those games against the Packers and the Lions, of course, if you want to hold the NFC North at the end of the season and the number 1 seed in the NFC. And, of course, the Lions, you want to get in the playoffs. You're hoping the Bears beat the Packers both times. You're hoping to take care of business against the games you can win. And, by the way, here's another critical matchup that Lions fans should be watching, and that's the Bears and the 49ers later down the road, because the Niners currently hold the 7th seed. If the Bears could beat the Niners, that will help the Lions a lot. And if the Lions could take care of the business on their end, they will have a strong shot to get in the postseason, albeit as a wild card.
One thing matchup line you really take care of also, you got the Steelers at home, your last home game of the year, and you got the road game on Christmas Day against the Vikings. That's on Netflix, I should point out.
Absolutely. Before we shift to our next topic, I just want to say this. Regardless of whether the Bears happen to make the playoffs, I mean, I think they're going to make the playoffs, but whether it be as the number 1 seed in the NFC or a wild card team, cheers to Ben Johnson and a whole new culture in Chicago.
It's crazy to think that people are thinking, oh, the Cats are going to really get in the way and make things just as bad as they were under Eberflus. Nuh-uh. It's surprisingly done pretty well so far under Ben Johnson. Whether or not this is just the first year shine, I don't know yet, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Before I shift gears, I want to say, speaking of Matt Eberflus, geez, it's no wonder why the Lions put up a whole lot of points against the Cowboys last night. It was a Matt Eberflus-led defense. No, of course the Lions were going to carve them up. No wonder. I mean, okay, I know I'm dogging a lot on Eberflus, but even as a defensive coordinator, that guy has been struggling at the NFL level.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeesh.
All right. We're staying on the topic of football, but now we're going to go to the college game and roll. So here's the thing. So can we see the clip of Indiana football? So a lot of big games this weekend, and of course, one of the teams that we're talking about on championship weekend, the Indiana Hoosiers. This is their first Big Ten title appearance in their program's history, and they're seeking their first Big Ten title since the late 1960s. Wrap your head around that. But this is just one of a few teams looking to position themselves come playoff time for the college football playoffs. So we're going to talk about all the big games this upcoming weekend, starting with the Big Ten title game. Mm-hmm. Number 1, number 2. Yeah, can't go wrong here.
That you cannot. Ohio State got that monkey off their back against Michigan to the chagrin of all of us and throughout the state. And they are going one state to the west to take on Indiana, who was essentially a de facto home game in going from Bloomington to Indianapolis.
Yes, indeed. And here's the thing. Another thing to keep an eye on. This is going to be kind of a quarterback battle. You got Julian Sayin against Fernando Mendoza, who we saw in that video clip. Both of these guys, they're looking to make their case for the Heisman because both of these two guys probably the two favorites to land the Heisman Trophy. Although I like to think Notre Dame's Jeremiah Love deserves more of a look considering what he's done this season. And honestly, I'm not sure if a quarterback really deserves the Heisman this year, but I won't go too far into that until later. the next podcast. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we got time to figure out when we announce the Heisman finalists. And also, we'll definitely be talking about the playoff rankings for the 12 teams that play.
Yep. So with that said, all right, should be a good matchup. I think it's going to be a very close game. One of these two teams will probably get the number 1 seed in the college football playoffs. The other might still be a top 4 or could end up having to play the first weekend in a home game to start the playoffs. Now, with that being said, this Indiana team has impressed me, all right? Even it pains me to say this as a Purdue fan, but this Indiana team is legitimately good. They will have a shot to win 1 game, maybe 2 in this playoffs, depending on who they get matched up with. But with that being said, Ohio State has been Indiana's bugaboo in the playoffs. And until I see something, I need to see it. And until I see it, I still think Ohio State is going to have Indiana's number. And I think Ohio State is going to be just too much for IU in this game. I'm going to roll with a score of 27-24 in favor of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
I got an Indiana proving that Ohio State is beatable. 21-18.
Ooh, that's a very unique score there. 21-8. I mean, it's a game that really can go either way, though. Both of these teams are good. All we can do is just find out and watch.
Let's keep going on to some other good matchups. We got SEC championship action.
Juicy matchup between Georgia and Alabama. Rematch, of course. Alabama beat Georgia early in the year, but they come into this SEC championship game with some questions about whether or not they can contend with the big dogs. And I'm not talking about just the Georgia Bulldogs, but the big dogs heading into the playoffs. And thus, they come in a little bit on thin ice because a loss to Georgia might just take Alabama out of the playoffs. In fact, I think it will because that would be their 3rd loss. And you got teams in the wings like Vanderbilt who are rooting for Georgia to beat Alabama. And you also got teams like Miami and BYU and even Notre Dame that want to see Alabama lose because they'll feel a lot better about their chances of making the playoffs should Alabama lose.
That's very crucial. And can we just talk about the mess that is the ACC situation?
Oh, no.
If Duke wins in North Carolina, in Charlotte against Virginia, we could have a situation where the ACC has a grand total of 0 teams in the playoffs.
Ouch. I was worried that you might say something like that. So ACC title game, Duke and Virginia, of course. No Miami in this, despite how high they're ranked, because they didn't take care of business in a couple crucial games due to in conference games too. So here's a prediction there. I don't think there's going to be really too much drama in that game. I think Virginia wins that game. I'm going to go with 21-17 for that game.
I feel like it's a 20-21 Virginia win. I feel like the crisis is going to get averted big time. Duke's got lucky.
Yeah. I mean, both of those teams are good, though, but yeah, like Tyler said, for the SEC title game, you know what? I'm feeling bold. I think Georgia wins this game by a score. I'll go 31-21, and Georgia, the Dogs, sick the Crimson Tide out of the playoffs.
It's going to be a lot more fun if the Tide do not have to worry about it, given how much of a bogeyman they were 20+ during the Saban era. I'm going for 28-21 Georgia win in Atlanta. They just don't have to go that far from their campus in Athens to get there.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, there's the Big 12 title game. This is the 4th of the Big 4 championship games. You got Texas Tech and BYU. Texas Tech right now would comfortably be in unless potentially they lose. This could be another chaotic game. BYU, another team that's fighting their way into the college football playoffs. But as I've said, another team that if they don't win their conference championship, they're probably rooting for Alabama to lose, although that might not help them if they lose against Texas Tech. So many critical games this week. So many teams watching these games. You know what? It's hurting my mind, too, just thinking about it.
But hey, look on the plus side. You don't have that many college football games to watch now.
That's true.
Then you remember how crazy it is when you get into late August into the end of November with all the games you get Thursday through Saturday. Think about it.
It is kind of nice to have less games. this upcoming week. And, of course, we got the playoffs, and then the Army-Navy game follows the following weekend. So a lot of teams like Notre Dame, Miami are going to be, and even Alabama are going to be, if Alabama loses, of course, to Georgia, they're going to be keeping their eye on this Texas Tech-BYU game because, like I said, Texas Tech, they've had a great season. I think they would be a very high seed if they win this game. If BYU wins, this is going to create all sorts of chaos. And teams like either Miami or even Notre Dame could be left out of the college football playoffs if BYU pulls the upset. And then we talk about teams like some people think Vanderbilt, who has, I think, 2 losses. I could be wrong. They've had a really strong resume, but they could be on the outside looking in if things play normally. But with this BYU win, maybe there's absolute chaos. But I think Vanderbilt is rooting more for Alabama to lose. With that being said, I don't think there's going to be any chaos in this matchup. My prediction is 24-14 in favor of Texas Tech.
Bring on chaos. 21-14 BYU.
All right, we'll go with it. All right. Well, we've talked about the football. We're going to shift gears to some auto racing because it is officially the season finale for Formula One, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And oh boy, we are in for a juicy race because we've got 3 contenders, not 1, not 2, but 3 contenders for this year's Formula One World Drivers title. And that would be our first contestant, of course, is McLaren's Lando Norris. Second is Red Bull Racing's Max Verstappen. And third, from the McLaren camp, is none other than Oscar Piastri. Take it away, Tyler.
Yeah, everyone thought this was going to be a 2-horse battle, but then both McLaren teams in Vegas got disqualified after Vegas for various rule violations, and that really swung the title contest wider open, even still on the driver's half. I mean, mind you, the Constructor Championship is all but truly McLaren, and that's spoken for. But even still, this is actually going to be fun. I haven't seen this much more fun for an F1 season to begin since 2021 when it was Verstappen versus Hamilton.
Yeah, this is what Formula One fans crave. We want a close race at the time, and we want to go into that last race knowing it's all or nothing here. You got to put your best foot forward if you're those drivers. Put your foot on the gas. Don't let up. If you're McLaren, you know what? Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if the resources are behind Lando Norris since he's leading, but, Piastri's still got a shot. Let me tell you the gap. All right, I'm going to show you guys I'm going to talk to you guys about the gap. Okay. So Lando has 408 points right now. Max is trailing, and not by a whole lot. He has 396 points. It's like a 12-point gap. And then Oscar Piastri is trailing Max Verstappen by just 4 points and just by 16 points against Lando Norris. If absolute chaos happens in this Grand Prix where 1 or 2 of these contestants get taken out, then someone's going to win this championship in the most insane way, potentially in the history of Formula One. I mean, either Max is going to have his 5th straight world title or McLaren's going to have a world driver's title, and either Piastri or Norris is going to get their first.
This is just crazy. Like we keep saying, the stuff that dreams are made of. Also, it should be noted that this will be the last time ESPN airs the F1 in the U.S. because that's going to the Apple TV platform starting next year.
Yeah. So long, partner. That's what I say.
Even if all they did was the Sky's broadcast, where I imagine Apple will be airing. But even still, it's going to be weird knowing that F1 not going to be on your cable subscriptions anymore.
Yeah. I mean, ESPN is weird, and as weird as that was, it was kind of nice to know, okay, they would have like Skynet showing the race, but you could watch the race. And even if you missed it in the morning, you could watch it in the afternoon and get a replay if you wanted to see all the action. Mm-hmm. So, a couple final thoughts going into the subject. All right, does Red Bull have enough of that power or enough of that juice? Do they have enough resources to help Max Verstappen steal the driver's title away from McLaren? And will Max be able to overcome the McLarens to steal his 5th world driver's title? Or will it be Lando Norris? Or will it be Oscar Piastri? Or will McLaren get away from all the drama? Will they overcome the penalties that they had in Vegas to secure their first World Drivers title in a long time.
Time will tell.
It most certainly will. And shifting gears, Tyler, did I hear something about a selection for the World Cup?
That is correct. The Kennedy Center in our nation's capital hosted the 2026 World Cup draw today. It started with the three leaders of the host countries announcing where the countries will go. Mexico in A, Canada B, and the U.S. was in their group matchup. They have, I think it's D. They have. This is where it gets interesting. There are several groups where the final team is yet to be decided. And so we're going to have, what we do know is that it's going to be Australia and Paraguay. And then you got a European matchup with four teams going into it. Turkey, Romania, they're in one semifinal match. Slovenia and Slovakia and Kosovo in the other. The winner of both the games face each other in the final, and then the winner of that goes to the World Cup.
Ooh.
So, and it also Mexico is hosting a couple of interconference matchups between other federations, but all the UEFA matches are going to be in Europe.
How about that?
It all happens in the March international break.
Oh, all right. I mean, I had no doubts that, the U.S. men's soccer team would be in this World Cup by default, and same with Mexico and Canada. But this is it. You got to buckle in. For those teams who are playing in those tournaments that Tyler mentioned, winner takes all time. You want your spot in the World Cup, you got to win when it matters now. Get yourself set up in the best position possible so you get the easiest group possible, and not the group of death, as some people like to call it.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that. And it should be noted that virtually all the U.S. stadiums are going to have city names instead of the usual because of FIFA policies against corporate sponsorships.
That makes
so
a
it's
lot
just
of sense.
temporary. It'll only be for the World Cup. And I should also like to point out, to use an example, Philadelphia, I've heard reports of triple-digit parking prices. Don't expect that for the Phillies games, thankfully. They did it so that the schedule for the Phillies, to use them as this example, has it so that when the matches are taking place at Lincoln Financial Field, or Philadelphia Stadium is being temporarily named, will not conflict with Phillies home games. They will be happening while the Phillies are on the road. So, for example, when the Philadelphia hosts a game on the 4th of July in round of 16, the Phillies will be in Kansas City.
Whew. I was gonna say, if we got ridiculous parking prices, and then along with the chaos of traffic from like a Phillies game and World Cup game, I would just be like, okay, I'm not going. It's not worth. But it's really good to see, as Tyler mentioned, that FIFA is coordinating between cities to try and especially between the MLB too, to kind of figure out how best to host the World Cup in the United States, or the games that are being hosted in the United States. It's nice to see that level of cooperation.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, a few games in Canada and a few matches in Mexico.
Yep. And also, kind of not surprised that, like, for example, SoFi Stadium, they'll just have, like, a display graphic that says Los Angeles on it, or Inglewood.
You have all these generic stadiums, although Arlington apparently wasn't happy that AT&T Stadium won't include their name in it. But, I mean, MetLife's going to have New York, New Jersey Stadium. Also, they're going to all have grass. Not sure if they're going to be retaining any grass capacities for the NFL games. Not sure. I have my doubts, but NFLPA might surprise me. We'll see.
Yes, indeed. And I guess one final thought on this. Hey, I'm kind of excited to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing like how the logistics that each nation that's going to be in the World Cup, how they're going to balance it out, especially those who are going to Mexico, those who are going to Canada, and then of course, those who are going to be in the United States, because there's going to be a whole lot of moving parts and stuff in this whole thing.
Yeah, I think the round of 16 onward is going to all have the matches in the U.S., especially with the championship in New Jersey.
Yep, absolutely. I'm excited about this World Cup. And we haven't even gotten to 2026 yet. And I'm looking forward to this World Cup. Not just the fact that it's in the U.S., but just the fact that the world is coming to the U.S. Like, we're bringing the whole world here to play a game, the most popular sport in the world, football, or soccer, as some of us call it.
Yeah, there were some jokes about wanting that to change. Oh, good luck trying to get that and get the NFL to play nice.
So far, so good for the logistics. And really, as Tyler mentioned, I'll be keying in to see how these the rest of these tournaments go to determine what this field will look like for the World Cup in 2026.
Yep.
All right, sports fans, a couple other things I just wanted to... Okay, I want to give a shout-out to the Butler Bulldogs, who are playing really good basketball right now. A certain person who follows the show requested that I give them a shout-out, so shout-out to the Butler, who won their tournament in Greensboro, West Virginia, and they're looking pretty good so far on the season. And sports fans, I'm going to give you guys, before me and Tyler sign off, I'm going to give you guys a little hint of something to come for this upcoming show. I got big weekend for me and my dad. We're traveling down to West Lafayette, Indiana to watch number 1 Purdue take on number 10 Iowa State. I'll get a whole lot of video, and I'll share some of it with you so you guys can see what Mackey Magic absolutely looks like.
That sounds like it's going to be fun.
It's going to be an epic contest, and I cannot wait to share my view of it with all of you sports fans.
It should be, like I said, it should be a great time. Have fun.
Thank you, Tyler. And with that said, sports fans, we are going to sign off for this week, but we'll be back next Friday, of course. Special thanks to my man, Tyler Lavalette, who works so hard to bring this magic. And also, huge thanks to WTV10 for all the magical work that they do, especially around the most wonderful time of year. Everything's feeling festive. All right, sports fans, follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports and other things for more videos like this. And follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports on Facebook if you want to watch this video on Facebook or any other things that we might post. And again, I also want to say I apologize if this video is late since I'm going down to West Lafayette tonight, so things might be running a little late, but I'll try to get this in as soon as I can.
Great.
And with that being said, me and my man Tyler are going to sign off for now. This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Wishing you all a good weekend. Enjoy the sports, everyone. Bye now.